It was well past midnight when Daniel first heard the soft tapping at his window. At first he thought it was just a branch moving in the wind or maybe a small animal, but the sound came again, steady and deliberate. It was not like anything he had heard before, gentle yet demanding attention. His heart thumped faster and a strange mix of fear and curiosity gripped him. Slowly he got out of bed and crept toward the window. The moonlight spilled across his small room, casting long shadows, and there she was. A figure, tall and graceful, hovered just outside. Her skin glimmered faintly, as if tiny stars were woven into her body. Her eyes, large and luminous, seemed to look straight into him, studying him in a way that made him shiver. He froze, unsure whether to open the window or retreat. His mind raced. Who or what was she? How had she come here? And why was she standing outside his window in the middle of the night? Every logical thought he tried to hold on to collapsed under the impossible reality of her presence. Then she raised a hand slowly, a gesture that seemed to ask him to trust her. Her lips moved, forming words, though her voice carried a musical tone that made it sound almost like singing. "I need your help," she said softly, perfectly in English. "It is urgent." Daniel's pulse quickened. He wanted to ask a million questions, where she came from, what she was, why she had chosen him, but his body seemed frozen by awe and disbelief. There was something in her presence and the calm urgency in her voice that made fear seem small compared to the need to act. I don't know if I can help you," he stammered, his hands trembling as he held the window frame. "You can," she replied, her voice gentle but firm. "I am far from my home and there are things I cannot do alone. Will you trust me?" Her eyes held no threat, only a kind of desperate hope that pierced through his hesitation. Something inside him, the part of him that always wanted to do the right thing even when afraid, made him nod slowly. Without fully understanding why, he found himself unlocking the window. The cold night air brushed his face as he climbed out onto the small ledge. She hovered there, not touching the ground, her movements smooth and effortless. Daniel realized she was unlike anything he had ever seen. She was more than beautiful. She radiated a presence that was almost sacred, calm yet commanding. The world he had known, simple and ordinary, suddenly felt small and fragile in comparison. Here was a being from another world, and somehow she had come to him. "I am called Leora," she said, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "I have traveled across galaxies to find someone like you. You humans, you are remarkable. You see the world differently. You feel things others cannot. That is why I am here." Daniel swallowed hard, trying to steady his racing heart. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why now?" "Because you are capable of courage," she replied, her voice soft but unwavering. "Because your heart is open, and you can make a choice that no one else can. Will you help me?" Something deep inside him stirred, a mixture of fear, awe, and a strange sense of purpose. He had lived a simple life, thinking of himself as ordinary. But looking at her, he understood that the universe was bigger than he had ever imagined. And for the first time he felt like he could be part of something extraordinary. Without another word, Daniel stepped fully out into the night, leaving the comfort of his home behind. The air was cold, the darkness deep, but Leora's presence felt like a guiding light. For the first time in his life, he realized that ordinary humans could do extraordinary things. And tonight, the universe had chosen him. Once Daniel followed Leora through the dark, quiet streets, he noticed how different she looked up close. Her skin shimmered with soft colors that shifted like sunlight on water, and every movement she made seemed effortless, like she was floating rather than walking. Her eyes, glowing faintly in the night, never left his, as if she could see the very thoughts running through his mind. Finally, she stopped in a small clearing just beyond the city. The grass was wet with dew, and the moonlight painted silver patterns on the ground. Daniel shivered, partly from the cold, partly from the weight of the moment. He had no idea what she was about to ask, but he already felt that his life had changed forever. Leora lifted her hands, revealing a small device, glowing faintly in her palms. It looked like a crystal embedded in some kind of metal frame, small enough for him to hold. "This device," she explained, her voice calm but urgent, "can save my people. My world is in danger, and I have traveled across galaxies to find someone capable of helping me." Daniel stared at it, confused. "Your people, you mean? An alien civilization?" His heart pounded. The realization was overwhelming. He had always thought humans were fragile, small players in a vast universe, but Here was a being asking him, a single human, to save an entire alien world. Yes, Leora said, her eyes softening. My people are trapped in a system that is failing. Machines and science alone cannot save them. They need someone who can act with creativity, with courage, and with empathy. That is why I came to you. Daniel felt a chill. His hands shook as he reached out to touch the device. It pulsed under his fingers, sending a strange warmth through his body. I don't know if I'm the right person, he whispered. I'm just me. I'm not a hero or anything like that. Leora smiled, a faint, almost sad smile. You are human. That is enough. Humans have a quality that no other race possesses. You feel fear, yes, but you also act despite it. You doubt yourself, but you also rise to the challenge. That is what my people need. That is what I need. Daniel took a deep breath, trying to steady his thoughts. He looked at her glowing figure and felt the magnitude of her request. It was impossible, terrifying, and yet it felt right. He realized that for the first time in his life he was standing at the edge of something bigger than himself, and he could either step forward or turn away. What do I have to do? He asked finally, his voice trembling but determined. Leora gestured toward the horizon. There are nodes, points of energy scattered across your planet. Each one must be activated in a certain order. Only a human can succeed because only you can see the patterns in ways others cannot. You will carry the device, travel to each node, and release its energy. If you succeed, my people will be saved. If you fail, her voice softened, then we may be lost forever. Daniel swallowed hard. The weight of her words pressed on him, but strangely he didn't feel panic. He felt purpose. He realized that fear was natural, but courage was choosing to act in spite of it, and if this was his chance to make a difference that no other human had ever made, he could not turn away. I'll do it, he said, firm now. I'll help you. Her eyes brightened and she stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. You have made the right choice, she said. Tonight you will prove something important, not just to me but to yourself. Humans can do extraordinary things. You will see what you are truly capable of. Daniel felt a strange warmth in his chest. He realized she was right. Humans were not perfect. They made mistakes. They were fragile in many ways. But they had one gift that no alien could fully understand: heart, determination, courage in the face of impossible odds. As the moonlight bathed the clearing in silver, Daniel held the device tightly and looked at Leora. He didn't know how he would succeed or what dangers lay ahead. But one thing was certain: tonight his life had changed forever. And for the first time he felt that he was part of something greater, something truly extraordinary. The night felt heavier as Daniel set out with Leora by his side. The city streets were quiet, almost empty, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Every step he took made the small device pulse faintly, as if it had a life of its own, guiding him forward. Leora floated beside him, her glow lighting the path and casting strange, dancing shadows on the walls. As they reached the outskirts of the city, Leora stopped and pointed toward a hill in the distance. The first node is there, she said. Her voice was calm, but Daniel could hear urgency behind it. It may seem simple, but this first step will test more than your strength. It will test your courage and your ability to act under pressure. Daniel swallowed hard, feeling fear curl in his stomach. He had no map, no plan, only the device and Leora's quiet guidance. He glanced at her, her eyes calm and patient, and felt a spark of determination. This was impossible, but that was exactly what made it worth trying. The hill was steep, covered in damp grass that slipped under his boots. With each step, the device pulsed warmer, as if reminding him that it was alive, that it responded to his presence. Daniel realized then that this task was not just physical. It was as much about his mind and heart as his legs and arms. Halfway up the hill, a sudden gust of wind nearly knocked him off balance. He fell hard, scraping his palms on the rocky soil. Pain shot through him, but he gritted his teeth and stood again. Leora's soft glow hovered near, and she reached out a hand, not touching him but offering support in a way that was somehow comforting. You are doing well, she said. Remember, this is not just about speed or strength. You must move with focus, with purpose, and with belief in yourself. Daniel nodded, feeling a surge of courage. It was strange, he thought, how a few words could calm his mind. Even in the middle of fear, he realized that the human heart could do extraordinary things when it believed in something greater than itself. And tonight, that belief was keeping him moving forward. Finally, he reached the top of the hill. There, bathed in moonlight, was the first node. It glowed faintly, a small orb of energy hovering above the ground. Daniel approached it carefully, the device pulsing stronger in his hands. He could feel his heartbeat echo in his ears. One wrong move, one hesitation, and who knew what could happen. He took a deep breath and pressed the device against the node. Instantly, a warm light spread from it, flowing through his hands and into his chest. A strange energy surged inside him, filling him with power, warmth, and hope. He stumbled back, overwhelmed, but the glow of the node steadied him. "You did it," Leora said softly, her eyes shining with pride. "The first step is complete. You are more capable than you realize." Daniel sank to his knees, exhausted, sweat and tears mingling on his face. He had faced fear and pain, and yet he had succeeded. And in that success, he felt something deeper than relief. He felt pride, courage, and a growing belief in the strength of humanity. But Leora's calm gaze reminded him that the journey had just begun. "There are more nodes," she said, "and each one will be harder than the last. But you must continue. Your heart, your determination, and your courage are the keys. Only you can do this." Daniel looked at her, the weight of the task pressing on him again, but this time fear did not dominate. He realized that even though the challenge was enormous, the human spirit, his spirit, was capable of extraordinary things. One step at a time, one choice at a time, he could rise to this impossible task. As they began to descend the hill toward the next node, Daniel held the device tightly, feeling the warmth of the first success still in his hands. For the first time, he understood something powerful. Even an ordinary human could face the impossible and make a difference. And tonight, that difference had already begun. As Daniel and Leora descended the hill, the first node glowing softly behind them, a heavy silence fell between them. The adrenaline of success still coursed through Daniel's veins, but now a creeping doubt began to settle in his mind. Could he really do this? Could he travel across unknown terrain, face challenges he could not even imagine, and activate all the nodes? Leora floated beside him, sensing his hesitation. "Humans doubt themselves," she said softly, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "But that doubt is not weakness. It is part of what makes you extraordinary. You feel deeply, you worry, you question, but you also act despite it. That is strength no other race possesses." Daniel shook his head, trying to quiet the storm of fear inside him. "I don't know if I can keep going," he admitted. "I barely managed the first one. The next nodes, they're farther away. What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough, fast enough, clever enough?" Leora reached out, her hand hovering just above his shoulder. "It is not about being perfect," she said. "It is about heart, courage, and belief. Those are the gifts humans have. No alien can replicate them. That is why I came to you. You can rise to challenges others cannot even comprehend." Her words stirred something deep inside Daniel. He thought about his life, the small apartment, the long days at work, the moments he had wished for something greater, something that mattered. He realized that this was it. This was his chance to matter, not because he was extraordinary in the ordinary sense, but because he was human, flawed, uncertain, scared, but willing to act when it counted. The path ahead was dark and winding. The moonlight barely illuminated the road, and the hills stretched out like waves beneath the night sky. Daniel's legs ached, and every step felt heavier than the last. Yet with Leora's calm guidance and the device glowing warmly in his hands, he found the courage to keep moving. Hours passed. Each mile tested him not just physically but mentally. Shadows shifted in the corners of his vision. Strange sounds echoed in the night, and at one point he stumbled into a shallow ditch. Pain shot through his shoulder and doubt clawed at him again. But every time he felt himself faltering, he remembered Leora's words, and the warmth of the first node's energy seemed to flow through him once more, urging him onward. At a narrow bridge over a dark ravine, Daniel stopped. The wind howled, tossing him off balance. He felt a wave of fear rise, almost paralyzing him. "I can't do this," he whispered to himself, gripping the device tightly. Leora's voice cut through the night like a gentle song. "You can. Humans are built to rise in moments like this. Every choice you make, every step you take carries hope, not just for yourself but for countless lives. Trust yourself." Daniel closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His heart pounded, but slowly courage replaced fear. He stepped onto the bridge, each footfall steady despite the wind. Halfway across, the bridge swayed dangerously, but he kept moving. Step by step, he reached the other side. Relief and triumph surged through him. He realized something vital. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action despite fear. Humanity may not have the strength of alien machines or the knowledge of advanced civilizations, but it had something far more powerful: heart, determination, and the willingness to fight for others. Leora's eyes glowed brighter as she floated beside him. See, you are rising to the challenge. This is only the beginning, but you are already proving what humans are capable of. The next node awaits, and I believe in you. Daniel nodded, feeling a surge of renewed determination. Doubts would come again, he knew, but he now understood that doubt did not define him. Courage did. Heart did. And tonight he would keep walking. Keep fighting and keep proving that humans, no matter how ordinary they seemed, could achieve the extraordinary. As they continued toward the next node, the night air felt lighter somehow, and the glow of the device seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. For the first time, Daniel understood something fundamental. Humans are not perfect, but in their imperfection lies their true power, and tonight, that power would shine. By the time Daniel and Leora reached the cliff overlooking the dark ocean, exhaustion weighed heavily on him. His legs burned from walking, his arms ached from gripping the device, and every fiber of his body screamed for rest. The wind whipped against him, cold and relentless, and the waves crashed below with a ferocity that made the ground tremble. "This is the last node," Leora said softly, her glow brighter than ever. "To succeed, you must let go of fear completely. You must act without hesitation, even if it could put you in danger. Only then will the device release its full power." Daniel's heart pounded. He stared at the glowing node hovering just above the cliff's edge. Its light pulsed as if alive, calling him forward. He could feel the weight of the entire task pressing down on him, the fate of a civilization resting on his choices. He had never faced anything like this. He took a tentative step closer, and a gust of wind nearly knocked him backward. Fear surged through him, icy and sharp. What if he slipped? What if he failed at the very end? What if all the lives he had hoped to save were lost because of one wrong move? Leora floated beside him, her expression calm but filled with understanding. "Courage is not the absence of fear," she said gently. "It is the choice to move forward despite it. Trust yourself, Daniel. Trust humanity. You have everything you need inside you." Daniel closed his eyes, trying to calm his racing heart. He thought of his life back home, the quiet nights, the small joys, the moments he had felt powerless. And he thought of Leora, of the civilization that depended on him, of the unknown worlds that could thrive if he succeeded. The fear was still there, but so was a stronger force, determination. With a deep breath, he stepped forward and placed the device against the node. A surge of energy shot through him, warm and blinding, as if the entire universe had focused its attention on that single moment. He stumbled backward, the wind tearing at him. The cliff edge just a few feet away, but somehow his feet found solid ground. He braced himself and held on, feeling the power of the device flowing through him, connecting him to the node, to the world, to the lives he could save. Light exploded from the node, shooting into the sky like a river of stars. The waves below seemed to glow, the wind softened, and the air hummed with energy. Daniel's chest ached from the intensity of it all, and tears streamed down his face. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. Bigger than fear, bigger than himself. Leora's voice cut through the storm of energy, calm and full of wonder. "You did it, Daniel. You have completed the task. You have risked yourself, embraced courage, and saved my people. You have shown what humans are truly capable of." Daniel sank to his knees, overwhelmed. Exhaustion and relief battled in his chest. He had never felt so powerless, yet so powerful at the same time. He had faced the impossible, and he had succeeded. He had risked everything and discovered a strength he never knew he had. The cliff and the ocean around him glowed with the fading light of the node. Leora hovered before him, her eyes bright and filled with gratitude. "Tonight, humanity has shined brighter than any star," she said. "You have proven that courage, heart, and determination can surpass any obstacle, no matter how impossible it seems." Daniel looked out at the vast ocean, feeling the weight of everything he had done, and he realized something profound. Humans are fragile, yes, but within that fragility lies the capacity for greatness. Ordinary beings, when pushed to the edge, can perform extraordinary acts. They can rise when all seems lost, and their courage can echo across worlds. He had been afraid, exhausted and uncertain, but he had acted. And in acting, he had changed the fate of a civilization. For the first time, Daniel understood the power of humanity, the power to stand, to fight, and to shine in the darkest moments. And tonight, under the vast night sky, he had done exactly that. Daniel collapsed onto the ground, the waves crashing far below the cliff, echoing in his ears. His body trembled from exhaustion, and his hands shook from the energy he had just channeled through the device. He felt a mixture of relief, disbelief, and pride. He had faced the impossible and succeeded. Somehow, against every fear and doubt, he had done what no one else could. Leora floated down toward him, her glowing form serene and radiant. She knelt beside him, her luminous eyes full of warmth and gratitude. "You did it," she whispered, her voice like a soft song that carried across the night. "You have saved my people, Daniel. You have done what no other being in the universe could have done. And not just with your hands, with your heart." Daniel shook his head, still struggling to catch his breath. I didn't do it alone," he said. I just did what needed to be done." She smiled, a gentle, almost sad smile. "You have always underestimated yourself. That is what makes humans extraordinary. You doubt, you hesitate, you fear, but you also rise, and when you do, you shine brighter than any star. You have shown me the power of humanity, and I will never forget it." Then Leora reached into a fold of her glowing robes and produced a small crystal. It pulsed softly in her hand like a tiny heartbeat. She extended it toward him. "This is a gift from my civilization," she said. "It will allow you to visit our worlds if you choose, to see the wonders you have helped protect. But more importantly, it carries the memory of tonight. It will remind you of what you are capable of. You, Daniel, are stronger than you know." Daniel hesitated, his fingers brushing the crystal. The warmth that radiated from it made him feel a connection not just to Leora, but to something larger than himself, something vast and beautiful. He realized then that this gift was more than a tool. It was a symbol of trust, of gratitude, and of the potential that humans hold inside them. I don't know what to say," he whispered, tears welling in his eyes. "I never imagined I could do something like this. For anyone. And now for an entire civilization?" Leora's hand hovered over his shoulder. "You don't need to say anything. You acted when it mattered. That is enough. You have proven that humanity can shine, even in the darkest of nights. That courage, heart, and determination, those are your gifts, Daniel. Never forget them." For a long moment they sat in silence. The moon reflected off the ocean, painting silver trails across the waves. Daniel felt a deep, overwhelming sense of connection, not just to Leora, but to the universe itself. He understood in a way he never had before that ordinary people could do extraordinary things. Humans could rise to challenges that seemed impossible, and their courage could echo across worlds. Finally, he looked at Leora, his voice still trembling. "I'll never forget this. I'll never forget you, or what you've shown me." She smiled again, the glow of her form brightening. "Then perhaps we will meet again someday. But tonight humanity has proven itself worthy. And you, Daniel, have proven yourself to be a hero. Not just for my people, but for yourself." As she spoke, the crystal pulsed softly in his hand, as if echoing her words. Daniel realized he was holding more than a gift. He was holding a reminder of courage, hope, and the infinite potential that humans carry within them. And as the first light of dawn touched the horizon, Daniel felt something he had never felt before. A sense of pride. Not in what he had done alone, but in what humans could achieve when they acted with heart. He had been afraid, uncertain, and exhausted, but he had risen. He had shone, and he knew deep in his soul that humanity could do it again. Daniel woke the next morning in his own bed, the sunlight spilling softly through his window. For a moment he wondered if it had all been a dream. The glowing alien woman, the impossible journey, the device that had saved a civilization. But then his hand brushed against the crystal Leora had given him, and warmth radiated from it, steady and alive. He realized it was real. Every moment of the night, every challenge, every heartbeat of fear and courage, it had all truly happened. He held the crystal close and thought about what he had done. He had faced fear, exhaustion, and doubt. He had risked everything. Yet in doing so, he had discovered a strength he never knew he had. It was more than physical strength or intelligence, it was the power of heart, determination, and courage. It was the essence of what made humans extraordinary. Daniel smiled, thinking of Leora. He had never met anyone like her, someone so far from his world, yet so connected to the essence of humanity. She had trusted him when he did not trust himself, had believed in him when he had questioned his own worth. And through her he had realized something vital. Humans are not perfect. They are fragile, uncertain, and sometimes afraid. But that is exactly why they can shine brighter than anyone expects. The crystal pulsed softly in his hand, a gentle reminder of the night's impossible journey. He realized it was more than a gift. It was a symbol of possibility. With it, he could visit Leora's world someday. But more importantly, it carried the memory of courage, of choosing to act when the odds were against him, and of standing for something greater than himself. Daniel rose from his bed, feeling a strange sense of purpose he had never known before. The world outside seemed different now, the sunlight brighter, the wind softer, the air filled with possibility. He understood that humanity had potential beyond what anyone had imagined. Ordinary people could do extraordinary things when they acted with heart. That truth, that lesson, would stay with him forever. He remembered the first moment he had stepped out into the night, unsure and frightened. He had doubted himself, feared failure, and wondered if he was capable of anything at all. And yet he had risen. He had faced impossible challenges, pressed forward despite fear, and in doing so, he had changed the fate of an entire civilization. That was human power. Fragile, yes, but unstoppable when it mattered most. Daniel looked at the crystal again, its soft glow reflecting in his eyes. It was a quiet, steady light, a reminder that even in the darkest night, courage could shine. He thought of Leora floating beside him on the cliff, her calm words echoing in his mind. "You have everything you need inside you. You just have to trust yourself." A smile spread across his face. He finally understood what she meant. Humanity was not defined by strength or technology alone, but by heart, by courage, by the willingness to rise in the face of fear. And tonight, he had embodied that truth. Daniel placed the crystal carefully on his desk, its glow like a heartbeat in the quiet morning. He knew life would go on, ordinary and simple, but he would carry the memory of that night, the lessons he had learned, and the knowledge of what humans were capable of. He would never forget that ordinary people could rise, shine, and change the universe when it mattered most. As he stepped outside, the breeze on his face felt like a gentle whisper from the night before. Somewhere far away, Leora was watching the stars, knowing that a human had proven the impossible was possible. And Daniel understood with a deep and steady certainty that humanity could face anything, because sometimes the greatest power in the universe is the heart of a human. The sky stretched endlessly above him, full of stars that now seemed a little closer, a little brighter, and in that moment Daniel realized that he was no longer just a man in a quiet city. He was a human among the stars, a being capable of courage, wonder, and extraordinary acts. And the universe would never be the same again.